All right. Well, this was a really fun episode with comedian Nathan Macintosh. He has a new special out right now called Money Never Wakes. It's free on YouTube, along with tons of his other content, lots of really funny clips. And this was a very fun and interesting conversation. It takes a lot of twists and turns, and I really enjoyed chatting with him. I hope you guys enjoy listening. Just buckle up. It's a crazy ride.
First of all, I'm sorry that I'm late, and second of all, now I'm not a crazy person. I knew I was doing a podcast today.
No, yeah, you're not crazy. Totally sane. And it is Mental Health Awareness Month. I just read that, so
they should really put that. That needs to be every month. You know, we need to not lay off on the other months. What are the other months? Just eat your brain.
Yeah.
January, every single month, we should be giving a fuck about what we think and how we feel. But anyways, this is great.
It's so great. Yeah. So how are things going? How's the new special? How's the response from that? Because I just watched it last night. It's so good. So funny.
Thanks, man.
I think I saw clips. That must be how I found you, because you've been posting clips about it from that.
My whole fucking feed right now. I was thinking about that today. I go, it's just me wearing the same thing with different words over top of it. I'm like, if somebody's new to this, what do they even think? I'm just some crazy person who, you know what I mean? Only posts from one thing.
I think that's every comedian, though, isn't it?
I guess. I mean, I'm talking. This is the same stage, the same clothes. I mean, if well, whatever.
That's what you got to do. Is like you got to do the special, and then you chop it up into little pieces, and then you promote the special and your brand. I mean, that's how I found you, and so it worked. Yeah. I think you're doing it perfect.
Oh, okay, great. All right, Mental Health Awareness Month. I mean, because some of the clips have done very well, and the special itself is doing a lot better than, I kind of anticipated. You've put things out. You understand what that, sometimes how hard it is to push that button, because you go, how are people going to receive this? Are people going to receive this? What am I doing with my life?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I'll post a clip, and it's funny because you'll post the exact same clip on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and sometimes it gets thousands of views on one, and it gets like 100 on the other. And I don't understand the algorithms or whatever. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and they all seem to be different on all the things. But yeah, I'm happy with it so far. It got reviewed in the New York Times, which is fucking wild to me. And like I said, a lot of the clips have been doing super well. So yeah, I'm happy with it. Yeah,
well, I think the thing is it's so relatable. Like you have that bit about the fights on the airplanes. There is it does seem like there's a lot of fights on airplanes. Would you have a theory as to why that is, though?
Well, one, I think a lot of people just decided after the pandemic, fuck it. I'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. There's nobody will tell me what to do. Two, and this is on, because I do think it's crazy to fight on a plane. Like, it's insane. No matter what kind of is happening. I mean, there's stories of like they're fighting over the window. You know, somebody wanted it closed, somebody wanted it open. Craziness. Telling somebody to sit down, all that type of thing. I will say, though, airlines have been pushing the public for a long time. You know, that joke or whatever, I was like, this whole thing could be 8 minutes, because I could go, here's people fighting, and then also why they might. Yeah. But I'm like, do I want to make this whole thing about, so I'm going to do 40 minutes on plane fights, for God's sake? But airlines also play a role. I mean, they take everything away. Everything gets more expensive. Your fucking knees are just jammed into a fucking seat in front of you. The amount of times you're assaulted at the airport before you even get on a plane, just like getting there, taking all your shit off, putting it all back on as fast as you can while somebody's like, move. The amount of times you have to even have your boarding pass checked. There's people just in a hallway that are like, let me see your boarding pass. Like, who the fuck are you? Why do you even... What do you do here? You're on a chair in a hallway. I mean, clearly, this doesn't need to be, So the 8th or 9th time you're asked that question, you finally get to the plane, somebody bumps into you. It's fucking go time.
Yeah, and don't you think it's interesting too? I think they finally kind of like reeled this back a little, but for a while there, they were letting anybody with a giant dog or any sort of emotional support animal to come on the plane too. And I feel like that was causing some ruffling some feathers, no pun intended. You know, like when you bring a giant animal and people are like, okay, I gotta like sit next to this dog. I'm allergic to dogs, and it's kind of chaotic.
Yeah. I the first plane back after the pandemic, somebody had a emotional support pit bull, which is
no way, really?
Yeah, and it was just walking up and down the aisles, legitimately, just in the aisle. This woman was like walking it through the aisle, being like, it has to fucking move or whatever. You're like, good God. I mean, that's right below, emotional support fucking bazooka or tank. I mean, this is a full-on animal that could get into its own plane fight,
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing. It was like the Paris Hilton dogs, and those are like tiny, and those kind of made sense, I guess. But then when people have the giant dogs,
I have one of those little dogs, a little Chihuahua, and she's been on. I do, yeah, and she's been on a bunch of flights, but she's 4.8 pounds. She stays in a little bag. She slides under a seat. People don't even know she's there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I've seen like cats in the cat carriers, and I think they give them some sort of drug or a pill or something, so the cat's just zonked out, and it's still alive, I hope, but I mean, it's not like meowing and scratching and trying to get out or whatever.
Yeah. And then there's stories of airlines fucking telling people that they have to put these pets in the overhead, and then they land and the pet's fucking dead. So that's another reason to punch a goddamn person in the face. There's many reasons for plane fights to happen. I just don't think they should, because it's just a full breakdown of society,
Exactly. That's what it is. It's the breakdown of society. I used to work in the schools, and when I started, it was like, cell phones were not really a thing, and so there were some kids that kind of just, didn't really follow the rules and stuff. And then as phones came in, and just kids are just like, I mean, they were just addicted to their phones. They'd tell teachers to fuck off. I mean, it just seemed like it got progressively worse. Maybe too, because I'm getting older, but I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm out. I'm tapping out. And now you're seeing those kids go into society.
Yeah. Yeah. I get, well, first of all, I'll say this and then I have a question for you. Okay. I get very scared and legitimately, and I thinking about where we'll all be in 20 years. Cause I kind of feel, I feel that we're going to be talking to a lot of people who are basically butter, who slide around. They ask machines to do things for them, and if you slight them in any fucking way, they'll eat you. Because there's not a lot of the internet sort of has done this as well. I feel when you look at somebody through one of your magic boxes, whether it be a phone or a laptop or whatever, this person's not real, right? So fuck them. People tell off people all the time they don't know, go to hell, eat me. And I feel that people that grew up this way, or people that just do this constantly, start looking at people in real life as that as well, and fuck them. Which again, when I think about it in like 15, 20 years, I go, what is that? Where does that lead us? If things in society continue on this trend, I mean, are we out there just stabbing each other every time you walk outside? You have to knife somebody to get into a store or into your own car, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, or I feel like, it's going to go one of two ways. Either maybe the technology thing is going to lighten up and people are going to start interacting more in real life again, or it's just going to go fully like that movie. What's that movie with Bruce Willis, Surrogates, where everyone just does everything from home and they send a surrogate out into the real world to do all their stuff, and they just don't interact with people.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going personally. And what grades did you teach?
Oh, I was a high school counselor, and then I started as a middle school counselor, and then I was high school, and then I got burned out, and then I was like, all right, let me go back to middle school, because that's where I started, and maybe I'll get like re-energized and feel the fire again for this job. And I was like, oh my God, this is so awful. These kids are horrible. I can't believe I made it through my last year. I wanted to quit so bad. It was rough. And I'm like, oh, this society, it's going to be bad. Like, I mean, it's bad now, but like in 5 or 10 years, it's going to be really bad.
I know. And you, I mean, middle school was bad when there was no phones. I mean, those are the worst groups of people. You know what I mean? Like everybody, they make all these shows about high school and they're like, oh, there's bullying and who am I going to take to prom? Middle school, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, these are some of the worst fucking human beings alive. They just are. We all went through it. We all lived there.
Yeah.
It's this weird, like, no empathy type of fucking odd growing up thing, man. I found that to be the worst school-wise, you know? And even today, when when I see there's just like some look, and I get it. I'm like, I was you at one point in time, and I understand. You're like, fuck the whole world. I get it. But I don't know, man. We got to live here, you know? I actually have a friend who taught for years, and it's why she doesn't want to have kids. She's like, I taught for years. It was a miserable experience. Kids would threaten my life, and then I would go to the principal, and the principal basically like, you can't send these kids to the office. You have to just try to sit them down and figure out why they threatened your life. You have to figure out what you did that made a 13-year-old want to kill you.
Well, yeah, and then the parents get mad if you try to discipline their kid, they come after you. It's I don't know, it's tough. It was tough as a counselor because I usually was dealing with kids one-on-one, but teachers, when you have a classroom of 30 or 40, and then again, it's the phones, like you're competing for their attention, and like they're much more interested in whatever's on their phone than whatever you're teaching. They don't give a shit. So
everybody is. I mean, there's somebody that'll fucking dude. There's a guy right now, right? He's inside of a model. He's having sex with a model, right? He's looking at the whole thing. Phone will beep, and there's a half fucking second where it's like, what is going on over there? And she's doing the same. We're all fucked, man. Yeah. We're all broken and gone and dead, and like, I don't know. You sound like the oldest person alive saying any of this shit, but I kind of feel, because this has always been a thing, right? In terms of older generations being like, it's all going to hell. I think when people say in the 50s would have said this, right? When TV started to come out and like rock and roll was a thing. They were like, this is the devil's music, and these are just stupid boxes that make people dumb. Here's the thing, man, Chuck, dude. They weren't wrong. The problem is, though, it didn't happen as quick as they thought it would. It was a 50, 60-year fucking burn. But these last 10 years, man, it's like that. These last 10 years are what they thought it was going to be in 1952 or whatever. Because this now, we're in what they thought we were going to be in.
Yeah, well, it's crazy to think about that. I know you do some material about the Beatles and stuff and how you don't like the Beatles, but like when the Beatles came out, wasn't that like one of the bands where that people were like, oh, this is the devil's music, this is going to ruin society? And it's like, you look at that now and you're like, that's like so wholesome and like clean.
Totally. Talking about people holding each other's hands. I mean, it's a fucking submarine. I mean, it's kids shit. I mean, they have some stuff that's not, but I guess it was like the whole hysteria deal, right? Young girls and shit were running to their screens, ripping their fucking giant skirts. I mean, these skirts in the 60s, just these massive plaid, big pleated shirts. But as far as like, they thought it was going to, I don't know, make people do whatever. But these last few years, I mean, it seems to be there's more like, fuck you in terms of stuff. And also music is, dude, there's sometimes, I don't know if you feel this, Chuck, there's sometimes I hear a song that's on and I catch what's being said and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? how like, what the fuck is on? I'm listening to a 15-year-old telling me they're gonna fuck my girlfriend and kill my family. Why is this on in a store? Like, and I'm not some kind of like Christian prude psycho, but you just walk around sometimes, you hear what's going on, you go, how is this just the soundtrack to fucking life? How did this become played all over the fucking place? And how are we to think that this doesn't lead to people fucking fighting each other on fucking planes, shooting each other, stabbing each other. Like, how are we just gonna pretend? And also, again, glaring at each other through magic boxes. And I don't know, dude.
I love when it's just like over the top, like comical, like the song WAP. Have you heard that one? Wet Ass Pussy. I mean, that song is like so, like, it just makes me laugh. It's just like so over the top. Like, but I think some people are like taking it kind of serious. Like, this is like, yeah, like I want to be like that girl. And like, I hope they're kind of like kidding. I hope it's kind of tongue in cheek, but yeah, definitely shouldn't be something kids listen to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess it's hard to say. I don't know, dude. Like that one is kind of like it. It's crazy to think that like there's some people that say women should not talk like that because what if we all weren't back to school here real quick, right? Everybody's life probably would have been a little bit better if men weren't told in school that we're losers if we don't sleep with women. And I'm talking about obviously straight people here. And women are called whores if they sleep with men. Who the fuck won in this bullshit situation? You know what I mean? Like, we all lost, okay? And this is why something like this song comes out and everybody goes, holy fuck, what the hell? Some woman rapping about her pussy? Yeah, nobody would even really give a fuck if none of these weird little stigmas existed. You know what I mean? Life could have been a much easier in some sort of a high school situation if these weren't the two odds we were kind of put at. Does that make sense? I also feel like we just started this podcast and I started screaming.
I love it. I love that. That's what I love about your comedy too. You just, and then when you get kind of angry, your voice goes to this like comedic high pitched thing. That's like your natural voice, or is that like a thing you do for the stage?
If I mean, when I do get excited and I'm talking, my voice does that, you know, like I get fucking excited about things.
Yeah.
Again, like these.
It's like your trademark. I feel like it's, I love it. It's great.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, if anybody else does it, they owe me 50 cents. It's like it's Ric Flair's woo.
I just kind of discovered that guy. Even though I grew up in the 80s, I never really was into wrestling that much, but I follow this or I don't even think I follow it, but they showed my newsfeed these clips of like old 80s like wrestling bits and a lot of Ric Flair stuff, and it's always out of context. So I don't know what's going on, but he's getting really excited and it's hilarious.
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of his stuff. A lot of it's been taken off of YouTube, but yeah, I've known about him for a long, long time. Actually, oh God, this is so stupid. This is an action figure of Ric Flair that's on my desk that holds the fucking Nova Scotia flag.
Yeah. So you're not in Nova Scotia now, are you?
No, I live in New York, but I'm from Nova Scotia originally. And
so I heard that you got a green card to work there, and then you can apply for dual citizenship at some point.
Yeah, I can apply for citizenship now, and the only thing it really changes is that I could get to vote.
Oh,
you still got to pay tax, which is what the whole Tea Party was fighting for. You know, this cocksucking shit. You get taxed even though you got no say in what happens around here. You know what I mean? Like, should we have WAP on the radio? I don't know. I can't vote. I'll just walk the earth, I guess.
No, because like it is crazy though. Like, are you familiar with the Canadian comedian Simon King?
Yes.
Yeah, he's so funny. But I was talking to him, and he was saying it costs like $5,000 to get a visa to work in the United States. I was like, oh, that's so crazy. And I've talked to bands, and it's a similar kind of thing. If they want to tour like the US or go to Europe and they're not from that country, they got to pay this money, which is like so weird to me because you're going to be spending money when you come into the country. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I think that the visa itself is like 5 or 6, and then a green card's a whole other deal. But you know, you're getting the. I mean, back to wrestling here real quick.
Oh yeah, no, let's talk about wrestling.
I was
a big wrestling fan, so
I was going to relate this to America. America is, and I really should stop talking at some fucking point in time, not on a podcast, but I mean, who the fuck am I? But I feel if America was a person, it is Vince McMahon. It is the greatest marketer of all time because, on the outside of America, what gets shown to people? Tits, cars, rap, tits, rap,
Not anymore. I
asses.
don't think that stuff's PC anymore.
Well, sure, but I mean, it's supposed to be. This is like the place, dude. Oh, fuck, dude. You're gonna come here and you're gonna get, there's like 900 types of Pop Tarts, and it's fucking sick, dude. And then you get here and you go, oh yeah, it's just another fucking place that might be a little bit more miserable or less miserable than other places. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Where are you from, by the way?
I'm originally from Seattle, but I live in
Okay.
Arizona now. I've lived in Arizona since like 2008, so totally different states. Yeah, I like the sunshine, the weather down here more. That's pretty much why I moved. But yeah,
Nice.
is there big differences that you notice from like Nova Scotia, New York? Like, what is the biggest things?
I mean, there's a subway system here. I mean, there's still seagulls. There's still water. That part's still kind of the same. And people in New York are nice. But everybody's just obviously got places to go. But people are nice. Anytime I've had conversations with people in bars or whatever, like people will talk to you. There's places where that doesn't happen, and I think people in other parts think that New York is just like kind of the worst. But I mean, Nova Scotia, fuck, man. It's obviously just different. It's just a different. I mean, there's more people in Queens than there are in my whole province. The entire thing.
So it's just yeah, because that's what Simon was telling me, that he's in Canada and there's just not as big of a comedy scene up there. He said like the whole country is just, I mean, if you put all those people together, it's not as many as like, yeah, like the comedy scenes in like New York and LA and stuff.
Well, yeah, and also I think California legitimately has more people in it than Canada does.
Yeah.
The whole country, you know what I mean? So you got to drive barren wastelands to then go talk to 80 people in a fucking legion, but you're crossing a lot of Saskatchewan to get to those 80 people. And between you and those 80 people, there are no people. There's nothing.
Right.
It's just deserted wasteland.
You pretty much had to move to the States for your comedy career.
I mean, years ago for sure. Now with the magic boxes, I mean, you might be able to just live in fucking Thailand under a goddamn boot and film yourself and be the most famous human being on the earth,
Yeah, if you're good at TikTok and all that stuff.
Yeah, but as far as like years ago, definitely when I moved here and for stand-up, there are just more clubs, there's more places to be, there's more people here than Canada.
Yeah, do you do the Cellar a lot? I think I saw a couple clips from you performing there.
I do, yeah.
Is there I mean, because I went there, I've only been there once, I've only been to New York once, but God, there was, like isn't that the one where all the big name comedians will just pop in and like Dave Chapelle will just go, oh, I'm gonna come in and do a set? And
yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, years ago when I first started working there, he came in, and so I went to the manager and I was like, all right, so I'm bumped, right? Like,
oh shit.
And she goes, no, he wants to go on in a minute, so it's going to be you and then him. And I'm like, okay. And it was at the Village Underground, so there's places for comedians to sit there. The Cellar itself, it's not, you can't really hang out down there.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was like, oh, fuck, man. I got to go on. Dave Chappelle's going to watch my set. I'm like, this is insane. So I go on, and there's a room like full of like 200 people or whatever. And they're here, but I'm not paying attention to them. All I can see in the back is a fucking cigarette ember light up every once in a while. And I'm just like, this man's literally watching my entire deal. This is so nerve-wracking.
So do you change the set because Chappelle's watching? You're like, I'm going to bring him my best shit. Because sometimes like you guys go up there and you're trying new shit out. But if Chappelle's there, you're like, I want to impress him, right? Or no? Do you just say, fuck, I'm going to do what I'm going to do?
I mean, I was trying to just impress the building anyway. You know what I mean? Like I hadn't been there very long, so I didn't change anything, but I was in my head going, this is completely insane that, this fucking cigarette is just lighting up in the back. It's horrifying. But also whatever. He's very nice. So
yeah. Well, you said that one of the nicest people you met was Bob Saget. That's pretty cool that he was like helped you out a little bit when you moved to New York. You didn't know anybody?
Um, Bob Saget is was truly like probably the nicest person I ever met in comedy.
Wow.
I mean, I could whatever. I'll tell you a couple stories here. None of them are whatever, but like, so I got asked to do this show very last minute. Okay, a friend of mine messaged me. He's like, I'm supposed to open for Bob this weekend, but I can't do it. Do you want to do it? I go, of course. He goes, send a clip to Bob's people. He gives me some email. I go, okay. I sent a clip to Bob's people. I get an email back. They were like, great. See you on Saturday at this theater in Toronto. I get there. I walk into the theater. It's like this 1,200 seat theater. Bob is on stage tuning his guitar, right? So I go, well, I'm not going to bother him. I'm just going to go downstairs. Very Canadian fucking thought. I'm not going to bother anybody. Let me just go downstairs and wait for somebody to fucking scream at me or whatever. So I also, is it cool if I swear this much? This is
Yeah, I think you said fuck like no, I fucking love it when I love when people ask that too. Like, is it okay if I swear?
Years later, I should have a cigarette. I don't even smoke. The amount I swear, man, I should be a longshoreman. But
well, that's what's funny is like I don't think you swear much in your stand up, or at least the clips I've seen.
Well, it depends. I do and I don't. I try when I go to put something together, I try necessarily not to constantly, but it'll get to a point where I just go, look, man, this is who you are. Fuck off. I can't. What am I gonna do? You know what I mean? But as far as like something that's written and whatever, but so I walk in, I avoid them. I just go downstairs. Somebody comes down and they just lean into my dressing room. They go, Bob wants to see you, and they said it like that. So I go, oh man, this is gonna be brutal. Like, well, let's see what this goes. He's
like
going
to the principal's office or something.
Yes, and I mean, it's his show. He's a famous man. He can kind of say whatever he wants, right? So I in my head before I get to him, I'm thinking he's gonna say, "Don't talk about this. Don't do this." That type of thing.
Oh, okay.
I walk up. He gets off the stool. He walks over to me. He's like, "Oh my God, man! Thank you so much for being here. I'm so appreciative of you to do this show." And he goes, "I really love your stuff." And I go, I'm like completely taken aback. I did not think that this was how he was going to, especially how that person was like, Bob wants to see you.
You think that person was just fucking with you? Like he just
maybe,
said it like that? Yeah,
maybe. So, anyways, I go. You saw my stuff, and he goes, yeah. And I go, I thought I sent it to your people. He goes, I am my people. He goes, I just put like a little bit of a buffer. But he goes, I watched it and I liked it. And I was like, wow, okay. So then I go. So anyways, so then I go back to my dressing room and I'm just sitting there going over my set or whatever. And he just leans his head in. He goes, what are you doing? I go, I was kind of going over my stuff. He goes, why don't you come to my green room? So I go over to his green room. There's like, mine is like, and it makes sense. There's nothing in it. It's just me. So there's like, it's like a dark room with one light. And I got my stand up.
That's cool. That's interesting. There's two green rooms. I thought there was usually only one at first.
Bob Saget, for fuck's sake. Was I hang out with trash? Absolute Nova Scotia garbage. But he brings me in and, he's got a whole bunch of stuff and in there and he was super nice. And anyways, whatever, man. There was a few other things that happened that night and whatever, but I just really remember him talking about how appreciative he was. He kept saying how lucky he was. He kept saying, he goes, man, the theater's sold out tonight. He goes, I'm so lucky, man. He's like, this is amazing. And he had a lady with him and he goes, and this is my girlfriend, man. And he's like, she's fucking beautiful. He's like, I'm so lucky. He talked to his daughters before the show and he gets off the phone. He goes, man, my daughters are the best. He goes, I'm just such a lucky guy. Like he just kept talking about how lucky he was and how like appreciative he was of things. And I don't know, man, it was amazing to see, a guy at his, I don't know. He probably was the nicest person I met in comedy for sure.
That's cool. It sounds like he was really grateful. That seems to be the secret to happiness, though. But you could do that at any. I mean, even at your level. I mean, you've been on the Tonight Show, Conan O'Brien, Stephen Colbert. What?
No. It's just very funny. You're like, even you have things to be grateful for.
Well, you're saying like he's this giant, like you're not so bad yourself, and also you're younger than he is. Well,
No, I'm just joking around. But I think for any of us anywhere doing anything, being grateful is one of the things to strive towards, and it's very hard to do
Well,
in
well, yeah.
certain times and
Well, you were saying,
situations, you know?
because I think I heard you talking about the comedy scene, how like there's three levels, and this is really interesting or not analogy. I don't know, like whatever you would call it when your description of the comedy scene. The first level is like people are broke and you don't make any money, and then the second level is like, okay, you're making a living doing this, and then the third level is like you're one of the most famous people on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully. I mean, there might be another level between those that I don't know about, which is
Yeah,
like grim death. I don't know. But I mean, it just seems to be it
yeah,
seems to be what it is. There's a lot of people working, and then the famouses, the very famous
sure.
people.
Sure. Well, yeah, because I think there's people that are paid comedians, maybe road comics and stuff. But I mean, to do like to be on the Tonight Show and Conan, I mean, that's definitely a high level right there. I mean, maybe you're not one of the most famous people on the planet, but there's not a lot of people get turned down for that stuff too, right?
Yeah, I'm not even the most famous person on this Zoom call, but yeah, yeah, no, people do. People do, and those things were very fun to do. I mean, I kind of wanted to be a comedian since I was 10, so I watched as much of it as I possibly could growing up, and seeing the late night shows. I always thought, wow, that'd be so cool to do that, and it just seems like the farthest thing away. It doesn't even make sense how do you go from, I'm sitting in Nova Scotia, I'm eating cigarettes in the woods. How the fuck do you go from here to that? It doesn't make sense. So I did always kind of want to do those things, and I'm happy that I've been able to do some of them.
So you didn't start comedy at 10? You decided that's when you
No.
wanted to. What age did you start, and then how long did it take you to get to the point where you landed a late night spot or something that was like a big break in your opinion?
I mean, the very first time I ever did stand up, and this is ridiculous, I was 16 in a drama class. The teacher was like, "All right, for the end of the year, we're going to give you," she goes, "I'm going to give you some just things and pick one and then put it together for the class," right? And it was like, read a poem, do a one-man play, a sketch with some friends, or stand up. And I wanted to do stand up since I was 10, so I go, "I'll do stand up." So I wrote these jokes, and she wanted me to give her my script or whatever. So I go up in front of about 12 people in this class. She's got my jokes, so she's reading them before I even do. And I kept forgetting them. So I'd be like, "Oh, that new Superman, whatever, Spider-Man movie. I can't even remember what the thing was, but I'd forget it, and I'd be like, line," and she would read the punchline, and then I would have to
Oh,
read it again to the class or say it again to the class. And I remember walking out of there going, stand-up's too hard. I'm not going to do that. I'll be an actor. It's just a crazy 16-year-old thing to think. This thing's incredibly hard. This other thing's probably a little bit easier. I mean, they're both insane. They're both
yeah.
insane things to do with your life. You know what I mean? To either one of them is nuts. So
Kind of, but in some ways, like I feel like the landscape has changed so much. Like there's not just like I was talking to this comedian Fahim Anwar. I don't know if you know him, but he was
I
like,
do.
yeah. So he's done my show. He's from Seattle. I used to see him all the time, but he was trying to explain to his parents who are like from Afghanistan, like they want him to be a doctor or something, and he's like, they think like either you're Tom Cruise or nothing, and he's like, there's like levels in between, and especially now with all the TikTok and all this stuff. I mean, in so many TV shows and movies, you can
Yeah,
you could be a working actor and you might not be famous, but you could still get paid and be a working actor.
absolutely. It's still an insane thing to do. It's
Kind of,
still
yeah.
an
What are the like?
insane
How many
undertaking.
people do you think that you beat out for these like the Tonight Show and things like that?
Beat
Like,
out, buddy. I don't. I mean, I don't factor in any of that. I am. If I don't get something, I'm like, I beat myself out. If that makes any sense. And if I do get something, I'm like, okay, I put something together in a way that these people said yes to it. I don't go 20 other people fucking. Tried to get this, and I beat all these people out.
oh, but that's the insanity part you're talking about. That it's like the
That's not the
odds
insanity
of,
part I'm talking about.
oh,
Well, first of all, a little bit of that insanity, yes. I'm more talking about too, when you first start to go, okay, I'm going to do something creative or whatever, you factor in the stuff that you like to do with it, the writing, the performing, whatever. You cannot really factor in the years down the road and the mental toll that these things take on you, and the beatings, man, the brutal beatings you have to take from crowds, bookers, festivals, all of it. It's a lot. It's taxing, and I think that's the part that's insane to do to one's self. Not with no. There's nothing that's going. There's no, what is it? Stability. There's no guarantees of any of it. You could be one of the greatest, dude. I've seen some of the funniest fucking things that nobody will ever see because it didn't become famous or big or whatever the hell. Who knows why? But anyways, it's an insane thing to do. So I guess I'm just I don't know, talking people out of it. I don't know why I'm saying these things, but it's anything creatively seems like an insane thing to do. But I don't know. But then it's also kind of
highs and lows. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
because there's definitely high. You talk about all these terrible things, but obviously there's the highs too. I mean, you've been in the late night. I'm sure you've had some great sets opening for Bob Saget. I mean, all these things are amazing. What?
It's just funny. I'm sure you've had some. I could really just whatever.
Well, because you were saying all the negative things. I'm trying to say all the positives too, right? I mean,
there's lots of there's lots of positives. You decide to do something with your own life. It's a thing you've dreamed about doing. Yep, that's the.
I mean, it's amazing. Just the feeling of making people laugh. That
goes away, man. That goes away. It's dead. I hear people laughing, and it doesn't even register anymore. I don't even feel it. It doesn't even. I'm kidding, Chuck. I mean,
like knowing that you're bringing laughter. I mean, today I was binging your stuff and I was cracking up. There were so many good clips, and I mean, you couldn't hear me laughing, but that's what I'm telling you. So there's a lot of people out there that are watching your shit and cracking up, and the world needs laughter right now. That's for sure.
I think people are going to say that till the end of time too. I think forever and ever and ever, people are like, the world leaves right now. The world needs laughter. You know.
Yeah.
Even in the roaring 20s, everybody was getting sucked. They have pockets full of money, and they're like, what the world needs right now. But no. I mean, I do, yes, making people laugh. And I mean, for me personally, I would be any job I ever had. I mean, this is what I do, man. I write things or whatever, I yell things. So if I was an accountant, I'd be one of the funny people there. If I was a teacher, I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like I either decide to do it for a career, which is insane, or I do it every day in my regular life anyway, you know?
No, you picked the right I couldn't picture you doing something else. That would be stupid, I think. But I like hearing the stories of you working the other jobs. Like, didn't you used to work at like Adidas and A&W and Starbucks and stuff? Did you ever work for the government? Or is it only just like
No, I never worked for the government. Why'd you ask that?
Oh, just because I worked for the government. It's just interesting when you see how a government job is just, it kind of opens your eyes to some things. And I don't know, it's just, I was curious.
Is that because not as a teacher? What was your government job?
Well, no, that's the government, isn't it? I mean, don't you technically count?
Is it? I'm not trying to be stupid. I guess it is. Yeah, that would be who pays for these things. Yeah. But I guess I wouldn't have factored it in like government. When I hear government, I think, Jesus, I don't know, like a municipal building or I don't know, some type of thing like that. But obviously, yes, teachers do, I guess, technically work for the government. That's a government funded deal.
Yeah. You just see so much incompetence, but then I think you see incompetence in the corporations and the business sector too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for the most part, people are people. You know, some people know what's going on, most don't. Everything is pretty. I mean, do you see the guy who, one of the guys who is like the leaders of AI walked away from it and now is telling people that he's scared of it?
No, that's doesn't surprise me though. That is some scary stuff for sure.
Yeah. So, but he's like, for 50 years or whatever, this guy's like, we got to make AI. And then they get to it and he goes, we got to get out of it. So this fucking psychopath this whole time couldn't see this for what it was, and I guess same as in say teaching, the way that students or the way that teachers would talk to students or principals or whatever, it's all very now. It's not how are we talking to these kids today, and how are we treating them today that's going to set them up in the future for whatever. And right now it seems to be, from what you're saying and from what I've heard other people say, they're not, because they don't want to get in trouble with either the kid or parents of the kid.
Yeah, well, it just seemed like when there was like I mean, I don't want to make it paint it all bad, but it seems like there's definitely like a split, and the split seemed to be growing. Like there's not a lot of just like average like C students. Either a kid is like an A student and they're on the football team, and they're getting good grades, they're good at sports, they're in these clubs and they have tons of friends and they're straight laced or whatever, or they don't give a shit, they're failing everything, they're in the principal's office every day, and there's not a lot in the middle. So it's kind of it's the ones that are like don't give a shit, that are just like that number is growing so much that's the shit that scares me. Or I'm like, these kids are going to be going off into the world, and like, what do we do? Like,
yeah, because the saddest part about that is the ones that don't give a shit need the most, in terms of like they truly need somebody to give a fuck about them. Like they really need to be reached, because somebody, for the most part, nobody has at this point in time, because they probably got, I mean, whatever. I'm speaking from my own kind of life. You got nobody around you that really gives a fuck. It's all kind of hell. You know what I mean? So you come to this place. How are you going to give a fuck? But
right.
Those are the people that kind of need the most, because if they don't get certain things, I mean, one, you can just drag a class down. Two, society starts fucking, fighting on United flights. There's a lot of bad.
So how did you, with your experience, like, because I know you grew up with you're a single mom, and you sharing bunk beds with your brother. Money's was a struggle. So how did you kind of like decide? I mean, because you've had a great career for yourself. How do you think you didn't end up just going, oh, I can't fucking be a comedian or something like that, I'll just go work at Al's Auto Supply or whatever? I mean, how
Al's
did you
Auto Supply? That
you guys have
great.
those there?
No, it just sounded like a good name.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, almost every day I quit being a comedian. There's some part of my day where I go, not every day, I won't say every day, but every once in a while I go, what the fuck are you doing? Stop it. Stop writing things on things. Go do something. I don't know what that would be, but I truly think solely because I decided when I was 10 that it's the thing that I wanted to do, that it always gave me some kind of thing. Like I started drinking when I was very, very young, from like 13 to about 17, 18, like hard. I had an ulcer when I was 15. I had to take these fucking pills. And I stopped drinking because I started going to this acting class. I had a part-time job and I was paying for this acting class when I was like 16, and I was in drama class in high school. And both of those things, I thought, well, this is what I want to do. So I don't want to fucking ruin myself with drinking. So I guess I had something that, some goal or whatever that kept me in some certain way. Does that make any sense? Because
no, exactly. See that, and I think that's what's missing right now. Is like when I would work with these kids, and I was a counselor, so I'd be asking them like, hey, what do you want to do? And like a lot of them don't know. Now, hopefully some of them get straightened out, they mature, and they figure out what their purpose is. But that seems to be the biggest problem in the world right now, in my opinion, is that I think people, they don't have a purpose. And there's a lot of people, I mean, even if they have a job, it's not really what they're meant to do. It would be like if you were still working at Starbucks or something, that would be such a waste. Like you're meant for so many better things. And so I think there's a lot of people that are in jobs they hate or doing just nothing at all, and they're not achieving their purpose. And then I think when you start achieving a purpose, you're like, oh, this is what I was like meant to do. This is like what I'm put on the earth for. And you don't feel depressed. It's all connected to mental health too. Like, I think.
No, totally. And that's actually another reason I kind of get scared of the future, and every time I say that, I sound 80 or 90, but if AI and robots, which they will eventually take out everything, everybody will be clinically fucked because, I mean, you ever go to a town that used to have like a factory and then the factory left? Do you ever see those fucking people? Their teeth are falling out of their fucking heads. They're limping. They don't have anything to do. You
Right.
start to eat yourself. You start to like break down. People do need things to do. So if AI takes all the jobs and robots take whatever small jobs are left, I mean, they talk about UBI and you talk to certain people and they go, well, that sounds great. I sit home and the government gives me $3,000 a month or whatever. I don't got to work. I just got to buy shit. Man, that sounds cool for like 3 months. And then you're going to go, this is life. I do nothing. Everything's done for me. I do nothing. I go on Amazon, I press enter, shit gets thrown through my fucking window. And this is my whole life. I mean, that seems horrible. And also, sorry to go back to what we were talking about a second ago. I somehow feel these are related, but maybe I'm crazy. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what it is they're trying to do. And I think some people who grow up in certain situations think, I don't know, think that maybe either a teacher or parents or somebody will help them with that. And I think a lot of times nobody's going to help you.
Yes.
I don't know that anybody tells you that.
That's exactly right. Great advice right there. Nobody's coming to save you. Not
Nobody's coming to tell you
politicians,
what
not
you
the
should
government.
do. Yeah.
You got to figure this shit out on your own. I mean, there's people that will help you, I think, but you got to go out and seek out that help, I think.
Yeah, and you also have to figure out and decide what it is that you want to do, and it's harder. If I'm being very serious when I think about it now, like my dad wasn't around and my mom loved stand-up. Stand-up was always in the house when I was a kid. And I remember just looking at it when I was a kid and I just fucking gravitated to it. And I mean, one day, all this could turn horrible and I fucking live under a bridge, drinking my own piss or whatever. But so maybe it'll have a horrible story. But I was lucky in the sense that, I don't know, these things sort of happen the way that they happen. And I gravitated towards a thing, I remember meeting people in college. I even talked to a woman the other day, a 24-year-old who said she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. And she keeps trying to do a bunch of things to see if anything kind of sticks. And she asked me about me. And I said, oh, I kind of knew I wanted to do this since I was 10. And I don't know, to me, because it's me, I guess, I don't really think of that as anything crazy. But she was like, that's fucking amazing. That's so crazy. I wish that I had been that way. And I have had that conversation with a few people over the years. And anyways, yeah, I think a lot of people out there are trying to figure out what it is they got to do, or want to do, but it's completely on us, because there is a lot of people who, there's people who their parents wanted them to be a doctor, now they're a doctor, and they would rather live under a bridge drinking their own piss, because they're fucking knee deep in a torso or whatever, and you go, I don't want to be here.
Right, exactly. Well, and I think there's a lot of people that have those kind of dreams like yourself, like, oh, I want to be a comedian or something, and they go, no, I can't. That's not realistic. I can't do that. And then they don't do it, or they don't at least give it a shot and try it. And I think that's the time to do it, is when you're young. You say, fuck it, I'm going to give this 5 or 10 years. And then maybe after 5 or 10 years, you go, well, I'm not very good at this. I'm not making any money, whatever. I can't pay the bills. Then maybe try something. Maybe you got to pivot. But I mean, that's the
maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Again, I think I was kind of lucky in that way too, because like there was nothing to fall back on. You know what I mean? Like my mom doesn't own some kind of fucking forestry company. There's nothing. There's nothing. So I was like,
right.
Well, and I remember working at when I worked at A&W, I talked to a guy so I was 16 when I worked there, and a guy started working there who was like 35, something like that, and he had a degree in psychology. And he just couldn't find any work, which psychology is, it's an interesting one. But in my 16-year-old head, I went, wow, this guy did all the right things. You're supposed to go to college. You're supposed to get a degree. And we're standing beside each other. Now, this isn't me judging him, but I thought, oh, fuck, if that can lead right the fuck here anyway, I'll just keep writing shit on paper and screaming it at people in bars. You know what I mean? Like, if all of this can come right here, making a Papa Burger, fuck it. I mean, I might as well, you know what I mean?
No, that's exactly like you ever seen that Jim Carrey speech where he talks about that? How his father was
his
like
dad,
was a really funny he could have been a really funny comedian, but he was too scared, so he took this accounting job, then he loses the job, and it's like, and then he's like, yeah, you could fail doing what you hate, so you might as well fail doing what you love.
Yeah, but Jim Carrey, yeah. Jim Carrey will never end up living under a bridge.
No, he's gonna be okay.
Drinking his own piss, even though he did grow up on a bus cleaning piss. He started that way.
He grew up, he grew up poor. I mean, that probably helped motivate him. I love those kinds of stories, the rags to riches kind of inspirational stories to me. Like that inspires me. I'm like, oh, maybe this is stupid to think I could do podcasting, but maybe I could. I don't know. Figure, give it a shot. Why not?
Yeah, of course. Oh shit! Real quick, two things.
Yeah.
Did you like the David Goggins book?
I fucking love David Goggins. I mean, talk about inspirational. Have you read his story, or have you heard it?
I have that book.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
So I fucking love it. I love his clips. Like he's like one of my dream guests. I would love to have him on my podcast. I would love to have him like in my head, like just every fucking day. Chuck, get the fuck up. Go to the gym. Fucking go start working on podcasts. Like I need like that voice in my head, like 24/7.
One of my favorite things of his, I also, just on a complete side note, I like Buffalo, and a lot of people think I'm crazy for that. I like Buffalo, and Buffalo has given me a lot of things. I love Rick James, have forever, way before Chapelle's fucking sketch. I love David Goggins, and I also love Griselda. There's like, Buffalo personally, for some weird reason, has given me a bunch of shit, but my favorite Goggins video, I think, and obviously there's tons of them, he's running, obviously, and he's talking about.
He always runs in his videos, yeah.
He's right. He's always running, and he's just talking about how it's like 120-degree day, and it's the humidity's at like 900 or something. And some guy drives by him and is like, "Hey man, why are you out here?" And Goggins goes, "Because you're not." I love that. Because you're not. Somebody has to be out here running. It's not you. It might as well be me. I just love that. Oh, also, my second thing to you was I was going to ask. Maybe this is too far or big or deep or whatever.
This is going to be good. I'm excited now.
As a former teacher, okay, what are your thoughts on fucking all the craziness that happens with schools now in terms of like shootings?
Oh, that's actually a great question. So I don't know if you know anything about my podcast, but I interview not just comedians. I talk to musicians and I talk to authors. And since my degree was in psychology, I love psychology. So I've had psychologists on the show, and I actually had an expert who wrote 2 books. I don't think I have them here. I think they're in my other office, but he wrote 2 books about mass shootings. And we had a great discussion. Nobody watched it. Nobody knows who this guy is. He should be the most famous person in America, because every time there's a mass shooting, I feel like he should be on every channel talking and explaining this whole thing. But nobody knows who he is because he doesn't sell, the airtime or whatever. He's not exciting or whatever. But his whole thing is it's all about the warning signs. And almost every mass shooting, there's warning signs, and we just don't fucking know how to identify them. There's almost, I think if we would educate the public on that, that's a huge piece of it. And that's just one piece of it. That obviously there's other stuff too. There's the whole gun thing. There's a whole security thing. But the whole mental health, I think a lot, and I think that's just mental health in general. I think we're just seeing the mass shooting to me is like, it's like the tip of the iceberg, right? It's like, that's like the absolute worst. But then there's tons of people down here that are suffering, that are in emotional pain every single day. They're just not shooting people. Maybe they end up killing themselves. Maybe they just die of a heart attack from stress. I mean, there's tons of terrible things, and we just don't really like acknowledge it or talk about it. We only talk about the mass shootings. That's like the worst piece of it, obviously, but it's a greater problem that is just being ignored, I think, and personally.
Yeah, it does seem to be being ignored. And also, I think I hate saying things like this, I guess, but specifically to hear, as a person who grew up outside of America, I have a lot of America's meant to make you go fucking nuts. This is how I personally feel about this place. This is meant to drive people insane in a weird way. The news is constantly, first of all, it couldn't be louder. Anytime I've ever been at an airport, it's jacked. I don't know why. CNN couldn't be louder. Fox couldn't be louder. The news is on in an airport, which I've always kind of found crazy as is. The news is also just grim death, darkness, be afraid constantly. This place, makes people go nuts as well, I think.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's kind of designed this way, because there's other places you can go and live that are calmer. They're just like calmer to be in. But as soon as you land here, you just feel it. It's the food, the whole fucking, I mean, even just the infrastructure, man. You drive on some of these highways and you go, okay, clearly somebody somewhere wants me to be angry because there's a hole in this there's a hole. There's a hole. I paid tax this year. I don't know where the fuck it goes, but this is a hole. This ripped my car right the fuck in half. You know what I mean? Like, how we're supposed to eat everything. I just feel that this place kind of is meant to drive people insane.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. And I remember like going back to the mass shooting thing, like I remember I think it was the 90s. It was a long time ago. And I'm not really a big fan of this guy, but Michael Moore made that movie Bowling for Columbine, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people saw it, but it was really interesting because he talked about the shootings. And one of my biggest takeaways from that movie was that because he goes to Canada. Do you remember that? He goes to Canada and he goes, oh, that's weird. Like, because I think, is he Canadian? He's Canadian, right? Or
no, he's from Michigan.
Oh, that's right. But he knew, like, because Canada was across the border. So I think he spent time there, whatever. But he goes to Canada, interviews Canadians. He's like, huh, that's weird. Like, Canadians have guns, but they don't do the mass shootings like the US. He's like, what's the problem? And then he's like, the answer in that movie, and of course, 20 years ago, so maybe things have changed a little bit, but not really. It was all about the media and how our media, like, hypes it up and, like, makes it. And that's exactly what you're saying, where you go here and this place is meant to drive people crazy. Our media is just, it's so dramatic now. I used to see when I was a kid, I remember watching the news and I was like, oh, this is fucking boring. The news, because they would just report the news. And it was like, it was not that exciting. But now it's like, because of the internet and shit and TikTok and Twitter, the major news channels are like, oh, we can't just report the news because people can get that shit on Twitter. Like, we got to say something, crazy. We got to get people riled up. We got to get people tuning in. If we say everything's great and the world is fine, like, you're not going to watch the news, right? So we got to say, like, the world is crazy. And it doesn't matter which channel you watch. If you watch Fox News, they're going to sell you a different brand of fear than CNN, but they're both selling you fear. And so I got to tune into CNN or Fox News so they tell me what to do next. And I think it all goes down to money, because they want to make money from marketing and advertising and sales. And that's the whole America. Everybody's trying to sell you something. And I don't know if that's as big of a thing in Canada.
Yeah, I think, like healthcare and stuff. And I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel that this place is designed to make people fucking snap.
Well, and the weird thing is too, is that as much as everything is designed to make money, and these corporations, they want to make this money. But then it's like, what's interesting is that I feel like a lot of the average people, there used to be like a source of pride in work. Even if you're working at A&W or something, you're like, I'm going to work hard so that one day I might be assistant manager. And now it's like, I feel like nobody gives a shit in any job that you go into. It doesn't matter if you go to the dentist, the secretary there doesn't give a shit. Or if you go to get your car fixed, the guy working there doesn't give a shit. Anywhere you go, it feels like there's just no pride. Like, nobody gives a shit. Now, if I go to Mexico, like across the border, I go into a restaurant there. It's like, I mean, they are so grateful to have you, and like, oh, senor, come on in. Like, they treat you like you're royalty. And it's like, we just don't, everyone here is just like burned out, just doesn't give a shit. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Burned out. And I guess too, also we were talking earlier about social media and stuff. I mean, there's just so much to look at and compare yourself to, and all of it, that, I don't know, that's got to have some kind of a factor as well. Like, why give a fuck about your bullshit life when you're watching somebody, with a big ass,
Oh,
It's
that's
hard
so,
to care about
yeah.
that table when you're like, shouldn't I be fucking this woman? What do I got to do to fuck this one?
No, that's so true. It's so frustrating too. Is like, I'm sure, as you know, is like, trying to get somebody to watch clips of your stand up. That's brilliant. It's really smart, funny stuff. But then you're competing with some woman with a big ass, and it's like, that's got like 5 million views, and all she had to do was just go out there and shake her ass. And you're like,
Yeah, but she had to, well, not all she had to do. She had to get it. She had to be born a certain way. Maybe she went down to Miami and paid for it. I mean, I'll say this, good for her, man. God love her, dude. Because if it's not an ass, it's I don't know, maybe some horrifying news story. So I'd rather take that.
Yeah, no, I think it's okay too to try to. I think that's the other thing people are not doing is limiting their either social media or their time watching the news. Like it really does brainwash you. I think like I catch myself, I go, oh shit, I'm falling down that rabbit hole again. I'm getting too much into the news because it's all negative, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta do something different. I gotta listen to some like uplifting David Goggins shit or some podcasts or things like that. And then it like kind of like resets your brain a little. You're like, oh yeah, the world is great. I don't know what, like, I mean, literally, like, think about it. Like, if you didn't know who the president was for the last, I don't know, 15 or 20 years, would you, I mean, you probably wouldn't even know or if you turn the news off, like, I don't know that it would really affect your life that much. Obviously during the pandemic, that was kind of a weird time for sure. But for the most part, it's like, I don't know that we need to know about every murder and terrible thing that happens in the world.
Yeah. And I mean, whatever. Maybe I've been kind of negative here at points in time, but there are unbelievable things on this earth and in this world that are great and positive and good and reasons to be here and try to do good and want to connect with people and all that kind of thing. Like there's way more reasons to do that than there isn't. The other ones are they have more of a pull, like maybe than the good ones. Even though you're talking about this guy who wrote the books, most people probably he might not just be known because people don't want to talk about it, because like, who wants to care about the reasoning? We want to care that it happened. You know what I mean? We want to talk about this horrible tragedy. We want to argue with each other about, should we ban guns? Fuck you. Should we watch Ted Cruz and his weird soup fucking face head? I sometimes I feel bad about talking about anybody from here because I'm not born here.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz, however, was born in Canada. So
was he? I didn't even know that.
Yes, he was born on a military base in Alberta.
How can he run for president then?
How can he indeed, Chuck? I think it's because he's born on a military base, which is like technically American soil or whatever the fuck, but
okay.
It ain't technically to me. Ain't technically to me. I would have also been like, excuse me, sir, were you not born in Alberta, Canada? Get fucked. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Those things seem to be bigger deals and more fun. I don't know, is a terrible term, but more fun for people to talk about and argue about than whatever this man's book.
Well, yeah, there's so much division. I mean, you talk about the Ted Cruzes. I mean, all those guys, like all they do is fight each other. Like, I don't know, maybe it was always like that, because I guess I didn't really usually pay attention to politics until the last few years, but it seems like they used to work together and maybe like actually try to accomplish something. Now they just fight, and I don't know. And I feel like that's just like, that's all our country. We all just fight. Like, why can't we just put our heads together and come up with some logical solutions that are win-win for everyone? I don't know.
Just fuck you, Chuck. That's why.
Tell
me how to fucking live, dude. The back to wrestling here real quick.
Okay.
Wrestling so politics in the 90s was pretty casual. And I'm sure some of you will be like, but Bill Clinton got blown. Cool, dude. If that's the biggest thing, if that would have been the biggest thing that's going on the last couple of years, hooray for us. However, it was not. Much rather go back to a day when a guy's getting sucked, But anyways, that's kind of whatever. That's the biggest thing that's going on. But politics is like what you're saying, kind of like pretty boring. A man would come out and say some stuff and whatever. Wrestling was the exact opposite. Wrestling was tits and chairs and blood and death and hell. It was like it was craziness. They called it the Attitude Era. It was all hell. Wrestling then went into the PC era, which is no blood, no swearing, no tits, no chair shots. Politics went full wrestling.
Yeah.
Full on. This woman's a whore. That's a dog-faced fucking piece of shit. This guy's a liar. I'm going to try to take over this building with my people and then yell at all of you that you're fucked. I mean, it is wrestling and whatever. I remember talking about this at the time. I used to do Red Eye on Fox. And I want to talk about regular, like, people in the back, like we're talking like, I don't know, name some people that you've seen on TV who are Republican people. In the green room, regular humans. I talk to them and I'm like, hey, how are you guys? Whatever. As soon as we get on TV, they're like, everybody should have a gun. Scratch that. Everybody should be a gun. Everybody's legs should be guns and their arms are guns and their faces are a grenade. And just the things they would say, you go, holy shit. And I remember this is when T. Diddy was running for president. And I was talking about how, I go, guys, this is all wrestling. This man, he comes down an escalator. He's got his fucking his bank statements. I mean, this is wrestling, for God's sake. I go, and he's in the WWE Hall of Fame. I go, I saw it. I was there. I watched him be inducted in New Jersey, 2012, WrestleMania 29, fucking MetLife Stadium. And they'd be like, shut up, boo. And then we'd go to commercial. And I'm not lying. Every one of them would look at me and they go, you're kidding about that, right? They're like, he's not in the WWE Hall of Fame. I go, yes, he is. I saw it happen. And these statements and this person and these chants, I'm like, this is wrestling. What the fuck are we talking about?
There's your voice. The voice crack. No, you're exactly right. I mean, but it has to be on both sides. It's got to be dramatic or people don't. I mean, probably some of my favorite, I don't like politicians. There's a handful that I'm like, oh, that person actually has some really good ideas. This person's actually really smart. Those people nobody even has ever heard of them. They don't get anywhere in politics because they're not theatrical and they're not dramatic. Yes. It's always the people that are the craziest, the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the AOCs that are saying the craziest shit. And you're going, really? And they have like millions of followers and they're super popular. I don't know.
Yeah, because the middle doesn't sell tickets. And the middle also, I feel, gets tired. So, because if you're in the middle, right? And you listen to somebody on the far, far left who's like, I think my 3-year-old's a unicorn. And then somebody on the far, far right who's like, again, we should build an igloo over America so that nobody else can ever get in here again. And I feel people in the middle just sort of go, fuck it. But there's too much fuck it. You know what I mean? Because nobody with any sort of reasonable sanity speaks enough anyway, because I guess one, people don't pay attention because it's not interesting. Or two, these people in the middle just go, all right, man, I can't deal with this shit. This is too much. I'm just fucking, I'm done. You guys eat each other. I'm going to be over here, Carl's Jr. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I used to think like, that was kind of my theory. I was always in the middle and I was kind of just like, it doesn't really matter. And then I feel like during the pandemic and shit, I was like, okay, shit is getting weird. Like this is when I'm like, I guess I got to start paying attention to politics now. Like, but yeah. I try to cut myself off. Like I said, otherwise I go too far down the rabbit hole and I'm like, this is depressing. I don't need to know all this shit. It's a lot of it's just the same stories recycled over and over again.
Yeah, okay. Totally. And again, it's like people just, I don't know.
I try to do my part. I have the mass shooting expert on my podcast. I'm like, okay, this is going to change the world. That's why I got into counseling in the first place. Yeah. I was in 98 was Columbine. When Columbine happened, I was sitting in my apartment in college and I was like, okay, I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to be a school counselor. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to get if these kids were at my school, they would not have done this. I would have saved them. That was stupid. That was a dumb idea.
That's not stupid. No, that's
what I wanted to do.
Just a wild thought. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I think I can. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think I can, I was hoping, then I thought, I think maybe I can affect more people with something like a podcast. I can have people on, we can discuss ideas and, I could reach more people this way because I obviously failed as a school counselor. So trying something different.
You didn't fail as a school counselor. You just switched the delivery system. Me and somebody have talked about this a bunch in terms of comedy. This is why people put stuff online as well. If you and then for a counselor, this would be more, but so let's say you're a comedian, okay, and you talk to 200 people a night, right? Every night. How long do you think it takes you to reach 1 million people?
200 people. That's like a math problem.
Just take a guess. I know their answer, but just take a guess.
200 people a night to reach 1 million.
How long does it take you to get to 1 million people that you have reached with your comedy?
What would that be like? Let's see. Is it 50,000? No.
50,000 what?
50,000 times 200. Is that 1 million? No. Yeah.
Whatever.
Right?
It's sure. It would be 13 years.
Oh, 13 years. Okay.
13 years.
50,000 appearances of 200 people though, right? Yeah.
Yes. 13 years to reach 1 million people. Okay. And so as a counselor, how much is that? Now that's like, you're talking to what? 20 people a day? Jesus. I mean, it's going to take you 1 billion years. Okay.
Yeah.
So something like this, you could potentially have a clip from something or the podcast itself, the whole thing reach 1 million people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think you've done anything. I don't think you failed as a counselor. I think you have shifted it into a different thing. Now, where you failed as a counselor is talking to me. I have very little to offer the universe, but as far as having that person on, especially when this is why you started getting into counseling at all, which is pretty crazy story, dude. Having that person on this platform is a bigger thing potentially than bringing him into your school.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and I mean, it's like, it's something that we as adults need to take care of. It's not, I mean, we need to help the kids, but it's not like we're going to put the problem on the kids. Hey kids, I mean, It would be nice if we could educate kids on how to look for we need to educate the whole America on how to look for these warning signs and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one thing, going back to the shooting thing though, it is interesting. I thought I read something about how Texas raised the age to buy a gun to like 21 or something like that. Here's one thing where I'm pro, what is it, Second Amendment, whatever. Like I'm not like, I don't love guns, but I feel like, yeah, people should have guns. But kids, I think you raise it to 25, maybe 30, maybe 45. That, I mean, this generation should not have
maybe
guns.
70, maybe 80, maybe right on your deathbed. They go, is there anybody you want to get out of here before you get out of here?
No, but this generation, but I don't know if it would, I mean, I'm sure it would probably cut down. I'm sure some kids are going to find a way to get it anyway. But I mean, if you raise that up, these kids, they aren't prepared to deal with guns. I don't know that most of them don't drive. Most of the kids, no one, when you and I were kids, you probably got your license when you were 16, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. These kids now, no 16-year-old has their license. They all just take Uber.
I drove right to a gun store too, and I bought I bought as much as I could carry. No, I mean, yeah, certain things got to be done, but then there is also the argument too of people are going to be like, well, criminals are going to get blah blah blah, and there's like, all right, so we just do nothing then. But it does seem to be now, man, these things happen at such a degree that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't disagree with gun control or background checks or any of that shit. But ultimately, like, okay, you got to think, like, if you're a kid or an adult and you want to fucking take out a bunch of fucking people, yeah, the gun is probably your easiest go-to answer right now. But
yeah,
if they took away all the guns, if they found a way that magically they could seriously get rid of every gun, like, that doesn't really take away the homicidal urge, right? I mean, so then what are you going to have people driving trucks through crowds? You're going to have like the Oklahoma bombing shit, like the Boston bombing, the fucking what else, like a fire or something? I don't know. Like people, there'll be somebody will set the precedent and they'll be like, this is the new thing. I'm going to start sending a bunch of Molotov cocktails through windows of a daycare, and then that'll be the new, and then everyone will just copy it. And I don't think that's really getting to the root. I think the root of the problem is, why the fuck do you want to kill a bunch of innocent people? Like, that's disturbing. That's what I want to get to the root of. Why do you have this? And again, I think it goes back to too, is like, people are lost. People are stressed out. They haven't found a purpose. Like, I guarantee you, nobody is put on this earth as a purpose to hurt and kill a bunch of other people. That's just not in the cards.
What about Dahmer?
Dahmer? Serial killer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
he seems to be put here to do that.
No, I don't. I think he went down a dark path, and I think he could have, in a different scenario, you know. I mean, you know the whole story, right? Did you watch the show?
Yeah, and I've also fucking read books about him before. I tell you this? I was really just fucking around.
No, but dead serious. But Dahmer, I mean, that's a perfect example. I worked with these kids, obviously not Dahmer type kids, but I worked with kids for 17 years, and you see it. So like, what happens? Like his dad basically says like, fuck it, I'm out, right? And ditches him. And then the mom, why did she leave? Did she went to go with a guy or something?
She had some fucking problem, right? Something.
Yeah. Anyways, both the parents just say like, fuck it, I'm out. They left a kid by himself. I mean, this kid is hurting. And then he discovers alcohol, starts getting fucking hammered, and then probably just had this rage like building inside of him. And, you know, and then he killed somebody, and then he got addicted to that feeling of like that adrenaline or whatever it was. And then he just kept fucking doing that. Like, I think he could have, have you ever read the book? I forget what it's called, like The Psychopath Next Door or something like that.
No.
I always forget. I always get those two confused. Sociopath, psychopath. Anyways, like like they say like 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 people is technically like a sociopath, right? So, but there's a lot of people where it actually benefits them. Like, think of it like you're a surgeon. Like, if you got really emotional and you're like, oh my God, like this person died, like I could never be a surgeon. I'm way too emotional. But people like that, they kind of need to be able to turn off their emotions like that, and just, but they're productive citizens. Hopefully they're good surgeons and they're saving people's lives and things like that. I mean, that could have been Dahmer. I think he was a medic in the army. He could have gone down a way where he was into the blood and the guts and all that. Didn't gross him out, right? I mean, he could have saved people.
Let's try not to sympathize with Dahmer. Let's not go down this road. I was really just fucking around when I said Dahmer. I should not have said Dahmer. Here we go.
Well, that's an extreme example, but I'm just saying, and maybe I'm totally wrong. I mean, it's very possible that he was just born to he was a fucking psychopath, and he was just going to be a killer no matter what he did in his life, no matter what happened, where you put him. You could have raised him with a perfect family in a rich neighborhood, and he still would have just had this strong desire. Some people are just broken. Yeah. So, I mean, that is a thing. For sure. Yeah. I don't disagree with you there.
Fucked up, but yeah, I don't know, man. Anyways, I just want to ask you what your thought was on that as somebody who's worked in the school system.
No, I think it's a complicated issue. I really do. But I think, to me, it's like, and I know like that's a cop. I feel like that's a cop out of people on the right. Like, oh no, we need to talk about mental health. It's like, okay, well then fucking do something about mental health, because I would love that. I would love to see our country have more. I mean, that's the other thing. I don't know if you guys have the homeless issues, and well, I know you probably do in New York. You have the encampments and things. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge issue too. There's big issues with the homeless and mental health. That's another piece of it that's just not being addressed. And I don't know. It's sad. I mean, I see a lot of great things in our country, but I also feel like our country's broken in a lot of ways. And the mass shootings is just like, that's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. We sort of live in a society that doesn't necessarily care about the society in a weird way. It's like, get what you can, climb to the top of the mountain, build a cage around your house, and just watch fucking YouTube or whatever, and fuck everybody else. What seems to kind of be, and it more so with the people that can do something, because I mean, we could yell about guns and whatever, and I guess I mean like down here, but then the people that can actually pass bills, do shit, whatever, they just kind of don't, or scream at each other until nothing really gets done. You sort of go, that's also sort of a part too that makes you go, well, fuck it. Because if the people that are in control don't care, then what am I going to do? Which on a small micro thing we were talking about earlier, if parents don't care, kids not really going to care, you know? So the government's our parents. Not really, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
if the people
I don't
can
think
do shit don't care, then what
government,
are we
yeah, they can't do shit. I mean, we can do so many. You have 35,000 followers or whatever it is on Instagram, way more than me. I mean, you have a way bigger audience. I mean, what did like because I know in Seattle, that's where I'm originally from, there's the homeless thing is it's out of control there. But Pearl Jam, the band, they did like some concert and I don't know how much they raised, but they raised a bunch of money. Like I feel like shit like that is like
Yeah.
that's what we got to do. We got to stop. It goes back to, I think, weren't you saying that earlier about how like no one's going to come to save you? We can't expect the government to do. That's why I'm saying, I asked you if you worked in the government, because I just feel like it's so incompetent. They can't do anything. I mean, I just saw that side of it working in the school, but who was I talking to? I can't remember who it was, but they were basically saying the same thing, that even at the highest levels of the government, it's just it's still like that. It's just a complete mess and nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. So it's like, I think we could save each other, just little things. It's trying to help each other out and reach out to people that you're like, you know, like my cousin Jim is like, you know, he's not doing so well right now. Maybe I should reach out to him and maybe I should see if he has any guns, you know, that kind of thing. Like, I mean, all these instances with the mass shootings, there was always somebody that was like, yeah, it was the Vegas one. Did you hear the story on that one? Like the what was it, like the wife, or I think she was like kind of like a mail order bride or something. She's like, yeah, he's like, he had all these machine guns and things in the garage, but you know, he's buying me jewelry. So I didn't say anything. It's like, like you could have saved so many lives.
Yeah. The thing that happened in Nova Scotia, there was a bunch of people that went to the cops and about the guy, and they were like, man, there's a lot of shit. And people just sort of just put it aside. You know, it's sad. There are definitely things that can be done.
Well, what would be your solution if you were
shootings?
The president? Yeah. If you had a magic wand and you could, well, not magic, but like a realistic, like you couldn't just magically erase guns, but would you ban all guns? Would you change the ages or background checks, or what would you do?
Okay. So this is my first day as president.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm president. First of all, a Canadian has never been the president of America since. First of all, I'm probably gonna have to answer a lot of questions about that. Ted Cruz tried.
I fucking hate Ted Cruz, but I hate Hillary Clinton too. I feel like Ted Cruz is the Republican Hillary Clinton. They're both so
that's funny.
Just fake. I don't know. I just can't. It's
always funny that like you have to do that, right? When somebody's like, I hate this person, I also hate this person. Can't you just hate one person? You know what I mean?
I hate a lot of people, but I just think like that's the. But no, that is the side. You know what I mean? Like I feel like. Although I did hear Hillary on Howard Stern, and I was like, oh, like she can actually be like a normal person. I was like, I feel like, it's like you said, the WWE, they put on this like farce, like I got to talk like this, and it's like, just be a normal person.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, your first day as president.
Yeah, I come out and I go, all right, hi. I think I'd say hi. I think that's first how I address the nation. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna make Burger King free for the day across the nation. And then if somebody goes, what are you gonna do about guns? I look at them and I go, woo, woo. I put sunglasses on, I get in a car and I drive away. I think I'd leave.
Really? Okay.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I could give some sort of joke answer. If I give any kind of serious answer, I would definitely need to think about stuff much longer than I have to this point. You know what I'm saying? Because there is, at one point in time, I would have been just like, well, yeah, get rid of these. Get rid of them. But then you go, yeah, it's not that simple because people will still get them from wherever the fuck. I mean, dude, a lot involved. Involved. I mean, I think I would go to, I think one thing you could do, now that I'm thinking about it, my first day, I just made Burger King free for the day. Wednesday,
Burger
it's free.
King. Is that your favorite fast food?
I feel it's very American, you know? Burger King. It's a king. What I would do is make it, I don't even know how you do this. Stop letting people accept money from the NRA in terms of politicians, whatever the hell, these people that just get money from these people to pass certain things. Illegal. I'll do this, okay? If I find out that you took some sort of bribe, remember years ago, and I think they're still trying to figure it out, college athletes could be fucking banned, kicked out, whatever, if they took not like bribes, but like gifts from certain schools. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same deal. If I find out you're the fucking the Senate leader in for Delaware and you took some money from Wayne LaPierre to pass some type of thing, you're doing time. You're going away, pal, because I mean, and then we'll figure out the rest of it, but I'll try to stop money coming from this fucking organization of hell.
And would you stop all the organizations? Like, what if, like, you know, oil companies or like solar?
Sure. We're starting on guns. My question here today was guns. I'm starting here. I'm starting right here, and then tomorrow McDonald's is free, and we'll figure out oil.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know, but that part of it does seem to be a thing as well. These unlimited finances from this place that can just buy people things, man. I will say this too. I don't know how there's so many people on this earth who are able to collect money for bad things and be fine with it. You know what I mean? I don't understand how there's this many people that can do this. I don't understand how there's this many people who are completely fine with, like, where'd this money come from? All I got to do is do what? All right. And buy a house and cruise in a boat and be like, look, I made it. Like, but where did you, I think I talked about this in the special a bit. And if I didn't, I meant to. We should care more about how people got money, not just that they have money, you know? So like somebody like Bezos, we go, shit, man, it's great. This guy can almost go to space, and he's got a $77 million yacht, and he's got $268 trillion, whatever the fuck it is, right? And we're just like, that's cool, or whatever the hell. But you go, how? How do you get it? You're like, well, one of the ways that he did is he cut health benefits to everybody that works for him. He has drivers, they're not allowed to really take any kind of breaks, so they're pissing into a cup while they're delivering your goddamn boxes, and shit like that. So you go, I mean, is that cool? That doesn't seem very cool.
You know I agree. I think the biggest thing with not just Bezos and but like Apple and all these like mega fucking ridiculous, is Apple like $1 trillion corporation at this point? Like
some kind of thing like that. And they have like a $600 million surplus or $1 billion surplus or something. Money just sitting in the earth that they don't even touch.
Which, yeah, but it's like we're all guilty too of like using these fucking products like Amazon. I love Amazon. I love my actually, I'm getting sick of my fucking iPhone, to be honest with you. But we all use these fucking products because there's no competition. Like, who's Amazon's competition? I would love to support a business that treats their employees better. I'll even pay a little bit more for the service if there was some sort of better, like Amazon, especially with frickin' the iPhones. They're made by these child slaves, basically, from what I understand. And if maybe I'm getting that wrong, but I don't think they're made from great working conditions.
Yeah.
The fucking phones are not, I mean, I keep buying the new one. I'm like, oh, it's got a better camera. It doesn't have any fucking new innovation. Why don't we innovate more? And again, I think that goes back to having more people figure out their purpose, and there should be like fucking 10 or 100 different phone companies that I can choose from, so that way, you know, Apple doesn't have 100 or 50% of the competition. What they got, Android. Okay, fine. But like, if we split some of that shit up and there's more company. I mean, remember when, like, I don't know if you remember when I was a kid, there was like mom and pop banks. Like there was little banks, like a mom and pop. Now there's like 5 banks or whatever, because if you're a mom and pop bank, like you can't afford the lawyers and the accountants and everything to follow all the regulations. So it's like, basically you're fucked. And now there's like just like 5 banks and they control everything, which is scary as shit.
Yeah. And the companies and stuff too. I mean, that seems to be a real big problem too, is that like, there's never enough money. You know, you have $1 billion and you're like, that's not enough. Then you get 2 billion. Like, it's just not enough.
But I don't think it's about, my dad was actually a financial advisor. So he worked with all these like rich people, and it to them, it's like a game. They're not like, oh, I need more money. It's like they like playing the game. And that's a guarantee you that's the same with Bezos and Musk and all the, because they could fucking retire. I think a lot of people just go, fuck it. Like, I've made my money, I'll retire. But it's like they like playing the game, and it'll never stop. But I think the only way that you beat them is that you have other people play the game better than that, and more people playing the game. And that could definitely change with, I'm sure that a lot of people would say the game is rigged. So, okay, then change the rules and give. Well, I love your thing about the student loans. That bit is brilliant, because
thanks, man.
We're giving people $80,000 for, as you say, a horse literature degree. Why don't we give $80,000 to a kid who thinks he can make a better iPhone, and let's see what he can fucking do. I bet you somebody could make a better phone, something innovative that's better.
Yeah.
And
for me, at this point, I'd almost be like, let's find the kid that thinks he can make a better iPhone and spend $80,000 shooting him into the sun. I mean, it's never going to stop, obviously, but like, stop tech, man. But, fuck, what was I going to say?
I don't know.
There was something you said that I was going to comment on, and I can't remember what it was.
Changing the rig game.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. So the people who would change it are the people that own it. Why the fuck would you... Nobody, if you own all the fucking spaces on Monopoly, and then somebody's like, hey, we should change the rules. You're like, oh, should we? Should we? Now that I have everything? Damn it, I forget what I was going to say. But
I don't know.
I don't know either.
This is fascinating. This is good shit. Like, it's a great conversation.
I hope so.
I think so. I don't know if anybody else is still listening, but I've had a great time.
Was this live?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
I was like, anyways, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if you got to get going, but I'm having a blast.
Well, how long do you normally do these?
I don't usually just like sometimes only 30, 40 minutes, sometimes an hour. So when I had Simon on, I feel like with comedians, it's always longer. When I had Simon King on, it was like, yeah, that one's like an hour and a half. He's fascinating too. He's good. Are you friends with a lot of other comedians?
Yeah. And I know I met him years ago. I mean, we're both from Canada, but yeah, I mean, I didn't really realize how long we've been talking. I mean, yeah, we could shut it off, right? Am I crazy? We could wrap this up. Am I nuts? No,
this is a good place to wrap it up. But yeah, I always end promoting a charity. So, I mean, that's another thing I try to do to bring good into the world. So if there's something, a cause that you, besides defunding the NRA, is there's something,
defunding the NRA. I'm going to say defunding the NRA. If that's a charity that we could, or Wayne LaPierre personally, if we can somehow defund this man,
Is there something that people could give money to, or that
I forget what the one in there's a Nova Scotia one that I've donated to. It's like a children's one. Fuck. So you know what? Send money to Nova Scotia. How about that? Just the whole province itself. I can't remember what the thing was called. And again, if we could defund Van LaPierre. I mean, look, I'm not even saying that. I'm with you in the way of like, I'm not saying get rid of the Second Amendment or whatever. It is what it is. But can you imagine being a guy who, like, a school shooting happens and this guy's like, I got to go there and give a talk. I got to have a convention. I got to have a bunch of my friends here beaten off with guns. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Where's death? I gotta fly there. I'm Wayne LaPierre. I got glasses. I mean,
but doesn't the other side do that too? They come in fucking I don't know. They cater to the. I mean, it's just so political. It's so stupid. Like, again, I think if people just put their heads together, work together, and
it's never gonna happen, Chuck. We're not doing that. That's dead, man.
I'm gonna try to do my part. Even though nobody watches this fucking podcast, I'm gonna try to do my part to bring people together. That's why
I love at the very end. You're like, nobody listens to this. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious.
Maybe somebody, but like bringing people together with it. That's the way I end with a charity. Like, that's one thing that brings, like, everybody can get together with helping children in Nova Scotia. No one's gonna be like, no, fuck that cause. Like, everybody's.
People definitely will say fuck that cause, but I mean,
those are the outliers.
These are psychos. But I forget what the hell. I forgot that you asked me that because I had the thing, but whatever. Yes.
No, that's fine. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Children, just like sick children, like St. Jude's kind of thing, or?
No, it's for like, it was like for sports in fucking,
Well, you can send me the link and I'll
send you the link. That's what should have happened this entire time. Yeah, I'll send you the goddamn link. We did it.
Yeah, it's not Sarah McLachlan's charity. Isn't she from Nova Scotia?
No, I think she's from I think she's from Victoria.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna look this up real quick just for fun.
I was looking up Nova Scotia stuff. I was like, oh, I don't know if there's any like interesting like Nova Scotia things I can quiz him about. Or
wait a fucking second, you're right.
All right.
She's from fucking Halifax. She's from where I'm from.
Yeah, there you go.
What the fuck?
Learn something.
How the fuck did I just figure this out now? The fuck is this?
Isn't the internet amazing?
Wow. Okay. Yep. You learn something every day.
I can educate
be a statue
you
of Sarah McLachlan in Halifax. And so we got fucking Winston Churchill.
Oh.
Well, which is a good one too. But I mean, no, he's not from Halifax. But anyways.
Why do they have a statue of him then?
World War II, man. What are you going to do? The guy was instrumental. Without him, there'd be no fucking Halifax. The whole place.
Did you see that movie?
Sand. Which one?
What was the movie where he was? It was all about him. That was really interesting.
Churchill? Was a movie called Churchill?
Maybe. Yeah.
I did not see that. I got a book about Churchill years ago that I tried to read. It's like 900 pages, and I went, I'm not ready for this right now. I'll read it at some point. He seems like a very interesting man. But either way, I'll send you the link of this fucking charity, man.
Okay, cool. Well, it's been a blast. You'll have to come back when your next special. Is there anything else besides the special? And the special's free. It's on YouTube. It's only like 45 minutes, and great stuff in there. I love the subway bit.
Thanks, man.
My favorite. I love how you call the spokesman a mascot. I think that was like
mascot. Yeah.
Was that on purpose that you fucked that up? Like,
I didn't fuck it up. I wanted to call him a mascot, and I mean he was technically the fucking mascot. He's parading around in his pants. Every time somebody thought about Subway, they thought of Jared.
Yeah.
Full on criminal fucking psycho monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that, my Instagram, I got a bunch of shows coming up. They're all on nathanmacintosh.com. So yeah, man, it's been great. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. I apologize I was late. No,
it's fine. Do you ever you don't come to Arizona? I don't see it on the list of show dates.
I haven't in a bit, but I'll figure it out. Okay. Somebody asked me about that yesterday too, they said, do you ever come to the desert in Arizona? I'm like, do you mean like a city or like literally the desert? But
I'll set up a stage next to some cactuses. We'll make it
some cacti. Yeah, hopefully soon. I do want to go there, so yeah.
Okay, keep me posted, or sometimes I drive to Vegas or LA if it's from around there. So.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Stay in touch. Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, see you later. The very funny, intelligent, and entertaining Nathan Macintosh. Definitely check out his stand-up on all social media and YouTube. Just watch a few clips, you'll be hooked. Again, the new special is called Money Never Wakes. It's totally free on YouTube. And of course, as always, liking, sharing, commenting on social media and YouTube for the guest and this episode can help us both out a lot. And I appreciate all your support for my guests and my show. Have a great rest of your day and shoot for the moon.